Hello, my name is Diane, and this is my story about my schooling and the effect of the Cold War era on my schooling. I was about 8 years old when I first was aware of the Cold War era, and because I went to school for 12 years with the nuns in upstate New York, and every single day we were informed about the impact of the godless communists on our society. And everything that went wrong in the world was blamed on Russia and the Chinese and the communists and their impact on the world. We were told all kinds of stories about how those governments would torture their citizens, especially people who were Catholic, which we were, and how they tortured and killed priests and nuns and people who were Catholic. And so that had a big impact on our education, and also what was going on outside of the Catholic schools. Joe McCarthy had hearings in Washington, and anybody that was deemed a communist got branded, and they couldn't get work, and it was really hard if somebody would call you a communist or you were even associated with that ilk. We had duck and cover drills in the basement of our schools because after World War II, people worked to get the atomic bombs, and Russia, of course, had one, and we were just convinced as little kids that they were going to let that bomb off, and that we were all going to perish. And so we'd have these drills, and we'd go down in the basement of the school and bring one of our big heavy books and put it over our heads, kind of like a fire drill.
Yeah.
And more like a tornado drill, I guess. And not that that would have done any good. Should they have ever dropped that? I think sometime around 6th or 7th grade there was the Cuban Missile Crisis, because Cuba became a communist country during that time period, and Castro took over Cuba. And of course, that's only 90 miles off the shore of the United States, and of course, that was communists are coming here next. It was that domino effect, and one country after another was going to be communist, and there was the Cuban Missile Crisis where we were going to go in, and I think they did send troops in, and that was a fiasco. And we were all sitting home watching the news every night, wondering if, okay, they put missiles on Cuba, 90 miles away, they're going to drop the bomb any day, and everybody was really kind of paranoid about that. And when I was in 8th grade, Kennedy was assassinated. A lot of people thought that the communists had something to do with that, and there was documentation that Lee Harvey Oswald did spend time in Russia. He married a Russian woman, and turned out, who knows, a lot of that stuff seems to have gotten lost in history, but it was an interesting time to go to school. Those are my memories. I hope that helps your project.
Thank you. How do you think it changed you, like in your view on the world at that time?
I think the generation I grew up in was very conscious of what was going on in the world, and politically we were very aware who's running for president, what are his views on Vietnam, what are his views on things like that. When I was in high school, the Vietnam War was in full mode, and when you graduated high school, the boys all knew they were either going to go to Vietnam or they were going to go to college, one or the other, because you got a deferment, you didn't have to go. So I think that impacted us a lot. We were all very conscious of what was going on in the world, much more so than I've seen in
newer generations.
Yeah.
I think I can agree with that because I'm not involved in politics or anything like that.
Well, you don't have a reason to be, really, because you kids aren't going off to war like we did. They had a draft. All the boys were given a draft number, and they were drafted if they weren't in school. So, and that was kind of hard. know, if you had brothers or husbands or boyfriends.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else?
Mm.
Interesting times, though.
Yeah.
Different times.
When we learn about it in like school and stuff, we don't really talk about that kind of stuff. We just, talk about the politics of it, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to get a different viewpoint.
A lot of people were very, at that time, people were very prone to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And if the government said this was a good idea, everybody thought okay. And then as people came back from Vietnam and after the Kennedy was assassinated, then Martin Luther King was assassinated, Bobby Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
The people in my generation said, wait a minute, we're not liking this so much.
Yeah.
And the whole society kind of changed at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was for the better, though.